Alright, what's going on? Not gonna spend too much time with the intro because I did all of that. Sorry about that. Because I did all that before in my review, my sneak preview on Tuesday. So we're gonna get right to it. Spider-Man brain. What is it? Well, to understand Spider-Man brain and how dangerous it is and why it has a effect on Boruto going forward, you gotta understand the man behind it. And to do that, we gotta go into Spider-Man lore and talk about J. Jonah Jameson. Now, one of my favorite things about the Insomniac Spider-Man game, can't wait for the Wolverine one, might take some time and get that one. Got to clear some space on my PS5 and all that, and try and save up to take care of some more personal, real life stuff in my life right now. But one of the things I love about the Insomniac Spider-Man game is what they do with the side missions. And every time you get to successfully complete them and save people, they'll go on TV and pretty much stick it to J. Jonah Jameson. Now, who is J. Jonah Jameson? J. Jonah Jameson, for all of you who are not Spider-Man initiated, is Spider-Man's greatest enemy, at least in my opinion, but he's also his boss. He's basically the guy who runs the Daily Bugle, and he's a media guy with a bias because somebody killed his wife and they wore a mask, and ever since then, he's hated people in masks. And unfortunately for Peter Parker Spider-Man and any other Spider-Man, they kind of tend to wear a mask unless you Silk. Then she try to do that whole ninja look, but that's Silk. That's a whole nother thing in itself. But basically, he operates with the mentality that Spider-Man is a threat or a menace. Not a hero, a threat or a menace. And he's always constantly looking for some irrefutable evidence to make Spider-Man the bad guy. There have been times in the comics where he's actually gotten involved, and even sometimes in the animes, or I should say the animated series, where he has actually done things like, I think it was I think it was either Spectacular Spider-Man or one of the Disney Spider-Mans where he turned his son into Colonel Jupiter and his son went crazy. He went and basically in the old Spider-Man 94 series, which is what we're going to talk about when we get into Spider-Brain itself, he actually created the Scorpion to actually kill Spider-Man. And this is all done because, like everything else in the Marvel Universe, when it comes to Peter Parker, people just use him as a scapegoat for their problems. And he allows it. But that's the Peter Parker discussion. So, how does this, pertain to Naruto? Or I should say, Boruto. Well, this has everything to do with Kobu because Spider-Man brain is basically when you twist logic to fit your opinion, as Kobu has done in this chapter 2 Blue Vortex. I mean, despite everything Boruto has done, Boruto saved his life, Boruto protected the village, and his initial thought is this is way too convenient. Boruto and the Shinju are working together. This is classic Spider-Man brain. This is classic Spider-Man brain. This is classic, the evidence of what I saw doesn't fit the narrative I want to push. So I'm going to use logic that I think is best to push the agenda that I want to push. And this is very dangerous and something that's going to make things harder for Boruto because this literally stalemates him in a situation where there's nothing he can do to be in Konoha's good graces outside of Naruto and Hinata coming out of the Daikoken dimension unaffected by omnipotence. Because for people who don't know, the last memory that Naruto and Hinata have of Kawaki is him threatening to kill Boruto. And per omnipotence, any memory you have of Kawaki is switched to Naruto. So unless you want to see Naruto trying to fight his parents, then Naruto and Hinata can't come out of that Daikoken dimension yet. Unless we can deal with omnipotence. But this is also troubling because now Shikamaru is on the clock, and unless we do find another way to expose Kawaki's lie, this man is about to die. I was watching Naruto explain again today, and he was talking again about this whole thing about Kawaki not being evil. And that's true. Kawaki's not evil. He's just obsessed. But being evil is not a requirement for being a villain. The reason Naruto villains are good is they're mostly victims of the system of the shinobi system. I mean, Obito lost Rin. Pain lost his family. Madara was discriminated against. These were not necessarily evil men. And at one point, all three of these men wanted to make a better world. They just looked at the world and saw that their dream was impossible because of just human discrimination. In Kawaki's case, his obsession has led to all of this. Like I said in the last video, you know, when we stop dealing with the Shinju, when we stop dealing with, planetary threats, unless Kawaki is exposed, people are gonna go back, and even sooner now, because Kobu has basically marked Shikamaru for treason, and treason means death. And anybody who's with Boruto, who is seen to be helping Boruto, is gonna be basically about to die. I mean, Sarada, even if she survives this, people gonna figure out that she done helped Boruto. Sumire, she on the fence because she didn't help Boruto. You know, Inojin is in danger because he helped Boruto. Anybody who has helped Boruto is in danger because they can be labeled traitors to the village and marked for death. We don't know how long it's going to take for that letter to get to the daimyo. But once that letter gets to the daimyo, it's probably going to be approved, and he's probably going to sit there and say, yeah, off with their heads. So anybody who helped Boruto before is going to die if something's not done. And this is the insidiousness again of the lie. Boruto can't get no help, and even if he does, even if he does get people to believe in him, the political climate is gonna determine what people do. You may believe Boruto didn't do it, but you can't say it out loud. And this is something that we can talk about later when I talk about Naruto and Hinata's relationship, when I've decided to figure out and get the stuff I need to do a video on that. Basically, it's like you can believe Boruto isn't guilty, but helping Boruto will get your head cut off. So Boruto's still in the doghouse. This brings me to the topic of the sneak preview, which I'm going to elaborate on now, and that's Boroshiki. Now, like I said in the sneak preview that I gave for this review, I hate Boroshiki. He's nothing more than pew pew head stuff. And after Boruto survived that initial breakdown with omnipotence happening on him, there's nothing Momoshiki can do to really affect Boruto. Okay, he takes over Boruto. Man, I get it. I get it. For a lot of people, you want to see that Sakuna moment. Boruto crashes out and just does a bunch of chaotic stuff because all the stuff that makes Naruto 2 Blue Vortex so good isn't in line with the shonen formula. So you need something to pacify the pew pew brain. So you want to see Momoshiki crash out, but Momoshiki crashing out doesn't do anything for the story unless, and this is a big unless, makes Himawari hate her brother. Now, some of y'all who may have been reading Two Blue Vortex may say like Himawari would never hate her brother. Well, again, you haven't been paying attention to omnipotence. Yes, Himawari says she wants to help Boruto, but she calls him Boruto. She does not call him brother. That means that, just like everybody else's, she believes that Kawaki is her older brother and Boruto is her adopted brother. She does not want to kill Kawaki. She does not want to kill Boruto right now. But if Momoshiki comes out and does something to threaten Kawaki, and she sees that and her mind changes, then she will be motivated to protect her family. Just gonna say that right now. And sadly, because of everything I have just mentioned, this may need to happen because this may be the only path to us actually getting a way to save Shikamaru and expose Kawaki. Because right now, Boruto has no path for victory. And I know what Naruto Explained says about it's a monthly manga, you gotta wait, blah, 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 blah. I get that. But in the case of Boruto, a character that was already hated for not coming out and acting like his daddy was the greatest thing that happened since sliced bread, you know, and that's where a lot of the hatred comes from. You know, you gotta kind of do it for that reason, and also the reason that we're all watching this because we want Boruto to get back everything he lost. Even if, we don't get the payoff to a victory for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years down the line, you still have to set the path to victory. This is a problem that Kishimoto has, and the Ikimoto is starting to have, that they don't set up the path to the hero's victory. I mean, Kaguya came about because Kishimoto couldn't come up with a realistic way for Naruto and Sasuke to actually win against Madara. He made Madara so OP and forgot that, oh yeah, this guy is the bad guy, and we don't want everybody turned into, like Zetsus. So yeah, he had to come up with Kaguya. Now, the idea of Kaguya was placed way, way back in the Pain Invasion arc, and it was something that people glossed over because, again, we're taught in America to turn our brains off and not really think when we watch a lot of things. Like, basically, Kaguya was technically, in theory, set up by the conversation that Naruto had with his father in the Pain Invasion arc when he told him that the masked man was manipulating pain. You mean to tell me that someone as strong as Pain is getting manipulated? And Minto was like, yeah, that's right. Now, what the Japanese wanted you to do was to use your common sense to say and understand the philosophical conversation that they were having and saying, okay, if someone's manipulating Pain, then who's manipulating that person? And it's like, okay, that's obviously, we found out that was the actual Madara Uchiha. And who's manipulating Madara? We also found out later that that was Black Zetsu for the resurrection, and his reason for that was for the resurrection of Kaguya. So Kaguya was set up by the conversation that Naruto had with his father, in the Pain Invasion arc, because it was tied to the cycle of hatred and how the cycle of hatred allows you to be fall into the cycle of hatred allows you to be manipulated by people, and in case of Black Zetsu, entities, with all evil ulterior motives, because they know that your hatred is going to make them successful and make you more willing to go along with what they do. this is the same thing that Naruto explained talked about today with Obito, not Obito, with Kawaki and Amato. Like Amato's going to try to gaslight Kawaki by basically saying this is all for the protection of Naruto, when really he's just trying to protect Kawaki because he wants his daughter back. It's the same thing, just using people's desires and emotions to psychologically manipulate them into doing things that you do. You can kind of even see that with Kashin Kojin and Inojin. He's doing all this because he, Inojin's doing what he's doing because he basically simping for Himawari right now. You know? So, yeah. But that's all I got for this one. If you like anything you heard, please like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll catch you in the next one.